Game of Thrones has always had a bit of a problem when it comes to gender equality. The show and the series of books it's based off is set in a vastly unequal society where the best chance a woman has in life is that she'll marry someone who isn't completely abusive.
My mother tells me a king should never strike his lady.
Despite this, there are still strong female characters whose stories revolve around their rejection of society's norms imposed upon them. Take Daenerys, for example. Over the course of the series, she evolves from the subservient sister of her brother/future husband, to the wife of one of the most powerful men on the continent, to the mother of the only living dragons, to the liberator of an entire civilization's oppressed masses. By A Dance with Dragons, the 5th book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series, Dany is the queen of a city, and is searching for a husband not to become his servant, but to win over the people she rules and unite Meereen behind her. And then there's Asha Greyjoy, known as Yara in the series, to avoid confusion with another strong female character who we'll come back to, who I like to think of as the one true feminist in the series. While some women win power for themselves or their families, and others have power thrust upon them, Asha pushes for equality between men and women, when she argues for primogeniture during the Kingsmoot on the Ern Islands in A Feast for Crows. And let's not forget Dawn, where men, women and bastards are treated equally in the eyes of the law, and the country's fiercest warriors are base-born women. Unlike, say, Cersei or Brienne, Asha isn't ashamed of the fact that she's a woman and makes no pretense to conform to the male society, shunning her arranged marriage in favour of the sexual partner she wants. Also, I mean, come on, how cool is she? For the most part, HBO's adaptation produces a fairly faithful representation of the strong female characters created in the books. Seasons 1 and 2 saw the rise of Dany, Brienne, Cersei, Catelyn, Osha, Sansa, Yara, Marjorie, Quaithe, Arya, Melisandre, Ygritte. Even prostitutes like Doria, Shay and Ros got a boost from their book counterparts to be more manipulative, even if it did come at the cost of gratuitous sexposition. But as is the fashion for Game of Thrones, characters come and go, and as these women die, as all men must, more women are introduced to take their place. Myrcella, Olinda, Missandei, Miranda, Shireen, Mira and Gilly are good examples, but you'll see that as the show progresses into its 5th season, things start to take a turn for the worse. Beyond the deaths, important characters from the books are dropped in favour of male-heavy storylines, others are stripped of their power through abuse, humiliation or imprisonment, and the new wave of women on the show, well, let's just say you can carry on forgetting about Dawn now.
You want a good girl, but you need the bad pussy.
In Meereen, all that trouble Dany's gotten into over the past few seasons is about to be fixed by some men. In the north, Brienne fails to rescue Sansa, but don't worry, there's a man on hand to sort things out. Despite these characters dropping like flies, sometimes more literally than others, important women from the books who could have been added seem to have fallen by the wayside. Along with all semblance that this series is about politics and not just subverting expectations for increasingly shocking twists. But I digress. Last season, out of the 7 major storylines, 3 involved plot points centred around the sexual assault of young women. Now, while rape has been a part of the series since the very first episode, it has always seemed to serve a purpose, highlighting the distance Dany and Drogo travel in their relationship, showing the Hound as a legitimate human who cares about Sansa's well-being, chopping off Jaime's hand. This time around, something seemed different. Maybe it was the age of women in question, or the consequences which followed, but the backlash from the online community was clear. I'm not going to claim that the books are any different. There's a statistic out there which shows that there are 3 times as many incidents of rape in the books. Although, of course, that hardly makes sense seeing as there's about 10 times as much content full stop in the books. But whatever. At least in the books, nobody burns their own daughter at the stake to melt a few inches of snow. And until I read The Winds of Winter, I refuse to accept Shireen's murder as canon. What I'm getting at here is that moving forwards into Season 6, HBO needs to seriously up their game in terms of representation. I'm hoping we'll see Osha and Asha again. Brienne will find Sansa alive and well, without a dozen broken bones from that 4-story fall. I mean, come on, don't tell me there was a snowdrift, I can see how little snow's on the ground. And it will turn out that Marjorie hasn't really been imprisoned and is in fact building an army of Sandor Clegane golems to battle Cersei's Frankengregor. Shut up, I can dream.